Jesus is saying to the disciples, listen, you have to learn how to deny yourself. And just because you want it, number one, that doesn't equal that you need it. That just means you want it. And for us, what we've done is we've put ourselves in this box where I want it means I need it, which means give it to me now. I call it the infant complex, where we get stuck at. Everything we began to pray and everything we began to proclaim, not everything, but a lot of the stuff is wants. And very seldom do we go to Christ with our absolute needs. Most times if we went to Christ with our absolute need, the first thing on the list would be more of him. And then if we got that, then he would be able to answer everything else that we need. But we don't go with the need of more of him, we go with the other need. I need this, I need this, so I want it, so I want it, so give it to me now, give it to me now. And then we start saying stuff like, you know, I remember when our son was small, he would see something that he wanted, and if we said no, one of his responses was, but such and such got it. Every now and again we get there in life where that becomes part of our reasoning for why we should have what we ask for. Something that we feel like we need, but it's really only a want. But they have it. And if we're not careful, we'll allow that type of thinking to trap us in life. We'll allow it to trap us if we're not careful. You know, growing up, I don't have any problem saying this now, and I know they don't have a problem with me saying it either because it's a part of my testimony. I have awesome parents. But growing up, we weren't rich. That's our testimony. We weren't monetarily rich. We didn't have a lot of things, but we had a lot of love and we had abundance of God, which is, you see a lot of family here today, brothers and sisters, and God has kept us over time. He didn't keep us with paper and money and green. He didn't do it like that. He did it with love. You know, and the thing is, we all have really good senses of humor. So we joke a lot. And sometimes we joke about the fact that we didn't always have lights when we were growing up. People ask me how I got so tall. I tell them, hey, they said the more you sleep, the taller you're gonna be. I went to bed with the sun. When the sun went down, I went to bed too, because there was no more lights. You know, that's where we were at. But this is the thing, I was absolutely okay with that. Always throughout the process of my life, I'll be absolutely okay with that. But this is the thing, sometimes you'll get around people who try to make you feel like you shouldn't be okay about things you experience in your life. And if you're not careful, you'll allow yourself to be made a victim. You didn't have no problem living without lights when you had your imagination. When you were a kid, you had your brothers and sisters. You had more candles than you could ask for. You ain't have no problems living without lights. But when somebody came to you and told you you was missing something because you couldn't play the Atari, or because you couldn't watch TV, or because you couldn't do this or that, all of a sudden you want to make yourself a victim. You were absolutely okay growing up without a father. Your mother, your grandmother, your granddad, they did everything necessary for you to be a productive member of society until you messed around and got in school and realized other people had daddies and you didn't. Now all of a sudden I'm a victim. Uh-oh. I'm a victim. God gave you everything you needed to be successful in your life, and you don't know why he kept that individual out of your life. It might have been for your own good. You might have been molested. You might have been abused. You might have been killed when you were a kid, and God saved your life, and you found a way to transform his grace into you being a victim. Come on. If you're not careful, you'll let different things that you go through in your life make you a victim. You didn't have some stuff. So what? You got everything you need now. You didn't have a couple of people. So what? You got everything you need now. And we got the nerve to be 50 and 60 years old walking around with disorders because we ain't feel loved when we were a kid. Oh, the devil is a liar. Jesus loved me, and he was more than enough. Stop letting yourself be made a victim. I know it was hard. I know that it hurt. I'm not saying that it didn't. But what I'm saying is God gave you everything you needed in order to rise above your situation. And you made a decision to walk back down there. Talking about you in counseling because your daddy didn't love you or your mama didn't. I'm not saying nothing wrong with it. All I'm saying is if God gave you what you needed to get through it and to rise above it, why do we make ourselves go back down? Back into it. I didn't have lights. I didn't have a phone. I don't know what the phone ringing sounded like growing up. We got our phone turned on for Christmas. That was our present and we were happy about it. Found ways around it. God helped us to find ways around it. Give folks my cousin's phone number. Get to the bus stop in the morning. Who called me last night? Get to school and I'm sorry I missed your call. I couldn't get back to you. There are ways to get around it. God will always make a way. Or we got to open our eyes and look for the way. Walking around trying to be victims. Act like you can't make it because your cell phone ain't working. What? Cell phone ain't working. Devil is a liar. God sent me here this morning to begin this lost to be found with this right here. The pity party is over. The pity party is over. Turn to your neighbor and tell him this. The pity party is over. Today I'm celebrating my release from the pity party. Today I'm celebrating my victory over the pity party. Today I'm celebrating God making a way in my life. The pity party is over. I can see you. I can see your prosperity. I can see your success. But the only person I want to be like is Christ. I don't need to be like you. That's not my definition of success. I'll be like Christ. Because if what you're trying to do is be like people, you'll always find something wrong with what you got. You'll always find something wrong with what you got if you're trying to be like people. See, this is the thing. We had Christmas at our house and nobody got everything. Nobody got everything at our house. We always, to this day, get something. And this is the thing, you were okay with your socks until you realize somebody else got shoes. Yeah. And you were okay with your shoes. You were happy. You were glad about your shoes until you realized somebody else got a bike. And you were satisfied with your bike until you realized somebody else got a car. And you were happy with your car until it broke down. And then you was wishing you would have had a bike. You was happy with your bike. You were happy with your bike until the chain broke and the tires went flat and you ain't have no comfortable shoes. You were happy with your comfortable shoes until you realized you ain't had no quality socks to put underneath them, and you kept getting blisters because you ain't had no socks for your shoe. Look, nobody got everything, but everybody got something. I wish somebody would praise God for what you got. Somebody ought to lift them up for what you got. Somebody ought to say, Lord, you gave me activity of my limbs. I'm grateful. Lord, you put a roof over my head. I'm grateful. I got the clothes on my back. I'm grateful. I don't have everything, but I got something. Somebody ought to be glad. Somebody ought to praise him. Somebody ought to be glad about what you got. Somebody be glad about what you got. Somebody be glad about what you got. Somebody be glad about what you got.